underway here. Welcome again to the Power Performance webinar series provided exclusively for the California Association of Mortgage Professionals and the National Association of Mortgage Professionals, NAM. We are providing this webinar as a series leading up to the August convention, summer convention for CAMP, where myself and a few of my fellow coaches are going to be joining you to share with you some ideas, tools, and strategies for how to take your business to the next level. The idea and design of this series is to get you the timely information you need to be able to take your business to the next level, adapt and adjust to the challenges in the market, and continue to refine and increase your performance as an originator. As we go through today's program, I'm going to be joined by my guest, Mr. Adriel Esparza, who is a top-notch originator in Southern California, in Corona, California. And Mr. Adriel, thank you for joining me today, and welcome to the program.
Well, thanks for having me. Appreciate it.
Hey, no problem. Well, guys, today's topic is about keys to reach the unreachable and close more loans. It's about power marketing, about what we need to do to be breaking through the noise and confusion and chaos of the consumer markets so that we can reach the people who can benefit from this incredible housing opportunity in the markets that we're experiencing right now, and what we need to do as industry professionals to help make that happen for people. You know, we all know that the market has its unique challenges, unique experiences, and unique opportunities, and right now is probably one of the best times in American real estate history to buy a home, even though home affordability is starting to tighten, and that trend is shifting quickly. And that's what today's message is going to be focused on. Like I said, I'm being joined by today, of course, myself, Erik Janeczko. I'm the head coach and CEO from the Maximum Acceleration Coaching Company. I also happen to be president of the Missouri Association of Mortgage Professionals for 2013, and the California Association, and President Fred Krieger has asked me to launch this series as an initial resource and information to the members of CAMP and NAM. Today's guest speaker is Mr. Adriel Esparza, again, who's a branch manager with PRMG, works out of the corporate office in Corona, California. Your career to date has closed well over 900 loans, does a great job of providing a high-value experience for customers and making a difference in the lives of the people that he works with, and has some great ideas to share with us today. And we'll be doing a little bit of an interview, point-counterpoint type discussion throughout today's program. Again, remember that we will be taking live Q&A as we go through the program. You're welcome to use the Q&A platform of this webinar interface to be able to let us know what you would like additional help or guidance or discussion with. So let's go ahead and get right into it. I mean, Adriel, as you and I were talking last night and earlier in the week as we were planning on this program, one of the things that we've dealt with over the last several years is just a total roller coaster ride of housing, right? We all experienced the dropouts, the foreclosures, the property values going from 2,000 square foot home costing $700,000 to $200,000, and that up and down and peak and valley, and the kind of chaos and confusion that has caused in the market, and combined with the fear of the media's portrayal of what was going on in the housing markets 2007 to date, has not helped the situation when it comes to homebuyer confidence and the ability or opportunity for people to be able to take advantage of the housing opportunities in the market. So long story short, we've got a whole lot of disengaged people. We've got a whole lot of people who have taken themselves out of the game of home ownership and put it to the side as if it's never going to be a possibility for them. I mean, this constant, I don't remember the philosopher who said the only constant is change. Well, there's a lot of change that we've absorbed and evolved through over the last 8 years. And is it likely to change? Well, I mean, think about the things that we don't know about what the future holds and what impact that could have on home affordability to the average consumer in California or anywhere else in the nation. The questions, the unknowns, the crystal ball we all wish we had. What's going to happen to rates? Frequently during this series I've posed the question, what would your pipeline look like if interest rates jumped to 5.5 tomorrow? How many of your refinances would disappear? How many of your purchases would have to buy $100,000, $150,000, $200,000 less house because that's all they could afford? think about the prices, real estate prices, and what's happened to real estate prices. Adriel, you were mentioning last night. What's California real estate doing right now? What's your market experience?
It's pretty nutty right now. At least the houses that we're a part of, where we are either, the lender or I help in an open house on, the houses are going for about 5% at least over the asking price. And even if it doesn't appraise, people are paying the premium and they're coming in with the cash. And so it used to be where, when they're looking for highest and best offers, not only looking for highest and best offers, but they're looking for who's got the cash to pony up the difference if it doesn't appraise. It's a pretty interesting market right now.
Right. And, of course, as you mentioned, I think last night, property values year over year are up 10 to 15%. Now, and that's, and for those of you listening in other parts of the country, NAM members, in addition to camp members, are also on this call. So we'll try and keep this as relevant as possible to a broader range than just California. But what California is experiencing, the rest of the country will start to experience in the not-too-distant future. And so, here's the thing. How does that affect, with the combination of possible rising interest rates and rising home prices, what impact does that have on home affordability to the average American consumer? I mean, if interest rates on a $300,000 house climb 1 or 2 or 3%, what happens to their affordability? I mean, I ran some numbers a little while back just playing around with $2,500 a month. A reasonable household payment, mortgage payment budget for a family that makes $100,000 to $120,000 a year, $9,000 to $10,000 a month combined household income, right? That's about 25% front-end ratio if you look at the numbers of it. Well, at 4% interest rate, $2,500 principal and interest mortgage payment buys you a $523,000 mortgage, right? That same $2,500 a month in mortgage payment, if interest rates shot to 6%, only buys you a $416,000 mortgage, which means you lose $100,000 in home affordability, a little over, actually. I think it's $106,000 total value. So think about how that plays out for the average California home buyer. The average family, in California who is, two household income, both working jobs, good stable jobs, making, mid to low 6 figures a year, 80 to 100,000 a year household income. With interest rates, the possibility of climbing 1.5 to 2 points, property values increasing 10 to 20% year over year, how long can home affordability in that market last at the average level where a typical California family can afford a home? How fast is that window going to slam shut and they'll be squeezed out of the market for possibly several years? I mean, Adriel, you and I were talking last night about a guy I talked to back in 2008, late 2008 in San Jose, who is thrilled with the fact that property values had dropped to the point where the average Californian in that area could afford a home for the first time in like 7 or 8 years, right, because homes had been out of reach for the majority of the early 2000s.
And it becomes more prudent to rent, when you're not in that position. So now you're in a position where, okay, well, now it makes sense to come in the game. Now, right, how do you get back in the game?
Right. The other big challenge that we're going to talk a little bit about today is how do we combat some of the challenges of the market with the lack of inventory, because one of the messages of today's event, this, how to reach the unreachable, marketing strategies and positioning strategies for buyers, is also about how to combat the issue of limited inventory and buyers getting discouraged and disengaged because they're not in a position to feel like they can qualify, or they're not a strong enough competitor to compete against the cash buyer or the speculative investor, that kind of thing. So those are the challenges. Now let's talk about solutions for just a second. The first thing we need to think about and understand is, what is the core component of a good marketing message? What's the number one thing that you've got to focus on when it comes to developing a clear message that resonates with your audience, the people that you want to talk to, the people that you want to hear, that you want to be able to hear your message. Well, we also have heard the concept of WIIFM, and where that comes from is kind of, I think it was a Florence Nightingale thing from way back in the 40s and 50s is where I first remember hearing about it. You know, the fact of the matter is every human is focused on their own agenda first and foremost. We're all tuned into a radio station, WIIFM, which stands for What's in It for Me, right? So the first thing we've got to understand is that everybody is going through their life thinking about what's in their best interest first and what's important to them about the next steps they're going to take in their life. Now, the interesting thing about this is if you think about how that's evolved over the years, you know, think about the pace of information and the volume of ideas that we get brought across our plate on any given day. I mean, you know, our great-grandparents or grandparents listened to the radio station. You only had a handful of channels that you could tune in, and that was how you got your information. That was how you got your news, and you know, that's what people paid attention to, right? You know, fast forward to the 1950s, the baby boomer generation of the late 50s and 60s, and you know, they had black and white TV. There were 3 or 4 local stations, and they all had synchronized commercials, and besides, you didn't even have a remote, so you watched the commercials, right? So it wasn't that hard for companies to be able to get your attention. You didn't have to try that hard to cut through the noise because most people were just too lazy to get up and change the channel, right?
Right.
Well, then you get to my generation, the MTV generation, right? Cable. You know, I remember growing up in the 80s and 90s, and it, you know, I don't know how many of you on the call, and feel free to hit me up in chat and let me know you're hearing me here. And how many of you got used to watching 2, if not 3 or 4 programs at any one given time? And if a commercial came on and the commercial didn't catch your attention immediately, you were clicking the button to flip to one of the other shows. We were tuning out all that stuff. So those messages had to be, 1, really focused on what we cared about, and 2, pretty dang catchy to even get our attention long enough to hold us faster than I could hit the remote button, right?
Right.
Take that one step further, the generations behind us, my children's generation, how much worse is this going to get? You know, I mean, my 12-year-old son is now, we have to take his phone away at night because he's watching full-length movies on Netflix on his iPhone. I mean, is that even conceivably imaginable for the post-internet generation?
Ready.
So what do we have to do, first and foremost, to create a message that gets through to the audience, the people we're trying to reach? And in this case, it's the buyers, it's the sellers, it's the people who need to hear the message that we have for them about how we can help them. Well, the fundamentals of what's in it for them is, first of all, you got to focus on understanding at what level you're communicating. Okay, there's 3 levels of communication: features, advantages, and benefits. Okay, so think about this for just a second. Features is they want a new home. Let's talk buyers for just a second, right?
Okay.
They want to buy a new home. They want to get out of all the challenges of renting. They want to have more control of their environment. They want to quit throwing money down somebody else's toilet. Okay, the feature is the new home instead of renting. The advantage is they have more space. They have a better kitchen. They have a better neighborhood to live in. They have more control of their housing environment. All of those are the advantages of owning a home versus renting a home, right? What are the benefits? What are the intangibles? What are the things that make the biggest differences to those families? What do they really, truly, honestly care about? The benefit level is about stuff that goes way beyond just a place to hang your hat at night. It's the lasting memories, the joy of having control of your environment, a greater space to be able to have parties and socialize, as well as the opportunity to build equity for a stronger and better financial future. See what I mean by getting to that benefit level? It's that what's in it for them. What do they care about? What are they passionate about? So let's talk about buyers for just a second. In the current market, what are buyers experiencing? What do they care about? What are some of the elements of owning a home, and what does that mean to them? Adriel, why don't you go ahead and hop in here and share some of your experiences?
Well, right now I think a lot of them are just frustrated. There's that balance right now of, yes, there are those people that kind of have their nose, there's people that have been renting for years. I've got a client that we did here in Mariloma, about maybe 5 miles away, where he's been renting for the last 15, 20 years. And guys, has always made around 60, 65 grand, and just always just rented, just because it made sense for him. And when he realized, oh, I'm a veteran, I can get something with zero down, and I can actually come into this game with $1,200 and $1,200 a month, he was all over it. So a lot of it is getting them over the hump of the normalcy, and that it's okay to get out of that redundancy of life. The second part of that I'm seeing is the people that are willing and able to buy right now, but just can't because they're on the lower side of the pecking order when they're going out making offers. And in many cases, obviously highest and best loan or the highest and best offers are not necessarily the highest price. It's obviously the kind of financing, and there's a pecking order, as everybody knows here on the call, where it's going to be basically all cash, going to conventional, going to FHA, going in terms of time of closing the loan. Basically the bottom of the barrel, unfortunately, is down payment assistance type programs. So as a result, there's a frustration there. It's like, hey, I'm here. I want to buy a home. I'm ready to play. I have the money. I can go in right now, but at the end of the day, they've gone through about 30 different offers, and they just cannot get in it. And in the meantime, in the last 6 months, for some of these people looking for a home, the market also went up an additional 7 to 10% in that interim. And right now, we've had with the exception of the last week or so, where we had rates have been jumping up, we've had the benefit of rates kind of arguably maintaining. It goes up and it couples a higher price with the higher rate. Now, all that time that they've been waiting, now they're going to be buying less house. So those are kind of the frustrations that they're having right now, and they're seeing, if they're not going through it themselves, they're seeing other colleagues, friends, and family going through it.
Right. So that is potentially adding an additional layer of complexity or an additional obstacle in the way of reaching those people who are disengaged. And Adriel, the one thing that really caught my attention, you were talking about the one particular veteran that you're working with, and he's just been renting for 15 years just because it seemed like, I don't know, maybe he didn't think about it. He was just going through life completely unaware of the fact that $1,200 a month, and in a lot of cases, even in the current market, still would buy him a nicer home than what he could get for renting, in all reality, particularly with home affordability where it is right now.
Right, and just to interject one thing on that is what I've seen is that when people have transition in their life, they're okay with transitioning on other things. And this particular client situation, he's been single, I want to say he's around 50, he's been single for, I think, 15, 20 years, something like that after his last divorce. But now he just got engaged, so now he's in transition mode. Okay, well, I guess I got to get a house, And so because he started putting himself in a transition mindset, I think that's one of the things that helped him really get over that hump. And so the thing is, what do we need to do to engage that transition when they're not getting married, or they don't have any kids? And everybody's got their own little time in their life, their own season that they're going to be transitioning. So how do we get to the point where we're helping them get off that fence?
Absolutely. Well, and that's kind of the two things that we've got to zero in on. So there's 3 key strategies we're going to share. We're going to rip through these in about another 15, 20 minutes. We'll take some Q&A. And then, guys, as we go through this, those of you listening in on today's webinar, make sure that you're commenting and posting questions and ideas and thoughts and strategies about how we go about some of these ideas and how we try and connect with these people and get them re-engaged and reach out to them and cut through the noise, the chaos, the confusion of life and the challenges that are stopping them from being able to take advantage of this amazing housing opportunity. And that's, by the way, guys, there's 2 ways to look at it. You could look at the challenges in the market and let you defeat it, or you can look at that as the raw materials to discuss how to solve it. So as we're talking about different solution strategies here, the first one we want to think about is the home opportunity review. The first strategy here is really about connecting with people in a social and comfortable way, reaching out to them at a time during this unprecedented housing opportunity. The beauty of it is because we know, and there's plenty of evidence to support that it is a rapidly closing window, that creates an opportunity to create a sense of urgency with a buyer and get them off the fence and get them engaged. to get them to participate and start moving forward, because it's real easy for them to begin to see that, interest rates climb up 1%, property values on a $300,000 house go up 10% or more in a year. All of a sudden, your house payment went from $2,000 a month to $2,800 a month. And maybe $2,800 a month is a little too steep for your budget based on your income. So if we can get that message out to them on as wide and as broad of a range as we possibly can, we have a huge opportunity. We can get people to think about rent versus buy, doing some quality comparisons and the type of home you get buying versus renting for the same amount of money in the current market. We can talk to people who should have and probably could have upgraded by now but haven't for whatever reason. And usually it's because they're thinking with what money cost and housing cost 5, 6 years ago, thinking that they really can't afford anything more than they're in right now, not realizing how easy it might be even for them to trade up. And then, of course, the people are just completely disenfranchised because they've been beat up too many times and got frustrated, and maybe there's an easier way to approach that Adriel's going to share with you some creative ideas on here as we continue to move through the program. All of this is and I guess this is, as a coach, I challenge people constantly to think about the obligation that we have. If we know something that is beneficial to people and we're not doing everything in our power to share it, what kind of guilt should that convict us with?
Right.
The reality is if I know something that's of benefit to a broad range of people, I have a moral duty to work as hard as I can to share that information with as many people as I possibly can before that opportunity slams shut. So one of the key things that you mentioned along the way, Adriel, that is also another key factor in being able to connect with people is think about the life events that trigger somebody to make a need or have a need to want to change their housing situation. One of the first and most obvious is the renter. So you think about the guy, and by the way, the funny thing about this, guys, is the fact that the people who are most likely to benefit are probably least likely to be engaged. They're the ones who are just going through life. They're working hard, they're keeping their nose clean, they're paying their bills on time, they're doing what they feel like is the safe thing to do to just continue renting. So there's a whole concept or idea about how to reach out to those people, the renters. Another key element or idea of this is the family size issue. How many people, how many young families bought their first home 5, 6, 7 years ago, 06, 07, and they bought all they could afford at the time, which might have been a condo or an entry-level starter home. And it stretched them to the maximum budget-wise because they were buying that home and paying an interest rate of 6.5%. Now all of a sudden, with the home affordability drop, from they bought at the peak of the market. We're not at the bottom of the market yet. We're seeing signs of recovery, but we're still in probably the lower 20 to 30% of property values from peak to trough of what we've experienced over the last 10 years. So what's the probability that that family that's had 2 additional children and have obviously outgrown the home they're in, that they could turn around and buy a nicer, bigger home? And in some cases, maybe even for a little less money than they're paying currently. The number one reason people haven't refinanced at this point is they already decided that the home they're in doesn't make sense for them to stay in long term, which is why they're probably still sitting at 5.5 or 6%. And still not necessarily really addressing home affordability. Another key area is life events relocations. How many people do you know that had to change jobs over the last 8 years? And as a result of that, the home they're living in is a bad fit.
Can I interject something really quick, Eric?
Yeah, sure.
Respect to family size. There's a lot of people like have been in this. You talked about 2006, 2007. At least around here, if they didn't stick it out, they foreclosed or short sold that home already. But if they were one of those people that actually stuck it out, and now they're in a position, and we're seeing this quite a bit, where we're seeing people that were a short sale 6 months ago, and now they're a standard sale. Well, as you know, obviously in a short sale situation, in most cases, you got to wait the 3-year spread, and the fact that they're waiting to the now, where now they're finally back at par, where they could sell that home, not have a short sale, and buy right away and use today's rates. Oh, that's huge.
Not only that, but yeah, use today's property values, and that's another element that creates this huge opportunity. So as an originator, we all know people in our database that are in that situation. We all know people who the home they're in is a poor fit, so we can start reaching out to our past clients and start asking them just general questions. You know, who do you know that has a stable job, is still renting? Who do you know that's outgrown their current home? You know, the 3 kids in the last 3 home, but they're still in that 3-bed starter home they bought 5 to 6 years ago. Who do you know that's changed jobs and has a really ugly commute? Who do you know that due to age, health, or lifestyle issues might be in a home that no longer meets their needs or is a poor fit for them? And then, of course, the investment property is always a fun one to talk about as well. But what about taking that to a whole completely different level? Now, part of the reason I use this sign or I put this thing up on the screen is we want to talk about home opportunity evaluations. Where I got the idea from to call it that is, how many financial planning firms offer some sort of a portfolio review, retirement plan review, or something like that, right? I originally came up with the concept a couple of years ago. I was watching a major cable news show. I was working on an article about generating referrals, kind of with the news on in the background. Well, it caught my attention because I was working on the article that there were basically 3 national financial planning firms, major companies like A.G. Edwards and companies like that, right? All 3 of them had commercials on this major cable news show, all probably spending several $1 million for those commercials, and every one of those 3 commercials ended with the call to action for their advertising. You know, this $1 million 30-second commercial ended with some sort of an offer of a free review. In fact, one of them is even advertising IRA rollovers was, you know, the thing they were going after, and that ended with a call us today for an IRA rollover review. It's something that the general consumer market considers or attaches significant value to. Advice and guidance is something people seek out. So what if we started reaching out to our past client database in a social and engaging way, saying something along the lines of, you know, Mr. Customer, I'm just reaching out to you. There's an amazing housing opportunity right now. We're seeing a lot of families able to buy a much nicer home than what they get for renting, and a lot of people are in homes that are poor fits but don't realize that there's a huge opportunity to change that situation because of how affordable homes are right now. So what I'd really like to do is spend a few minutes with you to talk about your current home and whether it's a good fit for you or not. Maybe along the way get you thinking about a couple other people, even if you can't benefit, who might be able to, and see if we can enlist your help in reaching out to those folks. Is that okay? Now, take that one step further and go to, you know, similar discipline, similar focus, similar approach, and think about turning it into a move-up opportunity campaign where you're leveraging referral partner resources, you know, working with a team of 3 or 4 or 5 agents, teaching them to do home opportunity review calls to their past customers, the people they put in homes since 2005, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, reaching out to the families that they've talked to 6, 12, 18 months ago that were in a situation where they couldn't sell because they were underwater at the time, but now they're probably positive or, you know, at least break even. And what would that do to alleviate some of the inventory challenges that we're all facing in this market right now? I mean, think about it. If you got 5 agents making 5 calls a day, that's what is that? That's 5 times 5. That's 25 calls a week. Out of 25 calls a week, what's the probability of one of those 5 agents not picking up at least a couple more listings just by making a simple 5-a-day reach out?
And we always talk
Heck,
about
they only
bringing more
did 1
value.
a day.
Yeah, and we always bring, you know, always talk about bringing in more value to our realtors. I mean, this is huge.
Yeah, I mean, it's like I said, it's you know, it's a huge opportunity to rapidly expand your reach in the market to alleviate both the buyer disengagement problem as well as the inventory problem. It's kind of a 2 birds with 1 stone type of strategy. By the way, there's some efficient resources and tools. I had a wrong button there, Adriel. Bear with me 2 seconds while I flip back here. We weren't quite ready for the videos yet. One of the efficient resources that you guys are willing to, if you want to email me, I can shoot you a copy of this. It's just a simple, easy questionnaire. This, by the way, could be emailed out. Just a simple, easy approach questionnaire that talks to them a little about their housing situation, what their desires are, to improve, and what are some of the challenges, and whether it's a good time to not. The other cool thing about using a tool like this is it engages and integrates both our process and what would be beneficial to the real estate agents in a single-shot approach. It also then can link back to a secure online web application platform, which is a technology that can be leveraged in addition to some of what Adriel is going to share here with you in the next couple of seconds about leveraging technology. So that's your cue, brother.
All right, man. Well, respect to kind of what my approach to this whole thing is, at least in our world, and I don't know if other colleagues here will agree with me, but the reality is of all the lenders that are out there, the people that are branded are really going to be the people that are branded, which are generally depositories, Wells Fargo, Chase, U.S. Bank, so on and so forth. So really, whether if you're a direct lender or broker or anybody else, I kind of put us all on the same level of the fact that probably consumers never heard of us. So when they're looking at cross-call with me because one of my listing agents wants me to, to cross-call their people, or even on just a general referral, and they ask, well, who the heck is Adriel? Who the heck is PRMG? I'm in a position to where now I can forward them into this, and they can check out some videos on me on how I work, what I do, what my process is. And what happens with leveraging this technology is, number one, they can check this out in their underwear at 11 o'clock at night on an iPad. And they can see what the heck I look like, what I sound like, who they're going to be sending their stuff to. It's not just just some Joe Schmo. At least this gives the appearance that I'm professional, that I know what I'm doing, that I like to invest in myself, things of that nature. Number one. Number two, especially in the open house type of community when I have to do cross calls, when I give them something like this to do the application on, I love the fact that I don't have to have 30-minute conversations with every client, that even if it's just a cross call, at least I have the mentality of, hey, I don't like to steal clients from other people. If you already have a relationship with that lender, you should stay there. My first priority is to take care of my listing agent, my seller, and then if I can then, of course, help you on the way, then great. In order to do that at a high level of volume, I've got to leverage something like this, where I can send them to the site, have them go through the process. By the time it gets to me, I already have a 1003, I've already got documentation, I already got everything. Now I just save myself 30 minutes of valuable time. And depending on what you determine that you're paying yourself per hour, which is $100, $150, $250 an hour, that's a lot of money that you're saving as a result of not going through all that stuff. Now I can come back to the client and have an intelligent conversation as a result of all the information that they already gave me. So those are some of the benefits of using the site that we developed here. You want to play the first video, Eric?
Have you heard of all the special programs that are out there? Some may even pique your interest. Down payment assistance, zero down, FHA, VA. Really, I can go on. But you know what can cost you tens if not hundreds of thousands of dollars? The wrong loan. My name is Adriel Esparza, Strategic Mortgage Planner here at Direct Lender PRMG. For the past 13 years, my team and I have specialized in not just getting a loan, but getting the right loan for my client's specific situation. We do it efficiently and at the lowest overall cost. Many of these special programs have different income limits, have different sales price restrictions, have different limits of many kinds. What you need to know is that I am an expert in this. My team and I are going to guide you through this process. With your cooperation and your information from you, we're going to create a total cost analysis that's specific to you and your situation. That way we ensure that we're putting you in exactly the right loan. Now my suggestion is that you do not just take it from me. I believe you should go ahead and click around here, click around this website, click on all the links you see above, learn a little bit about myself, look at the testimonials, and then when you're ready, I invite you to go and click on the Apply Now button. That's going to take you to a page where I'm going to give you detailed instructions as to how to exactly get pre-approved with me. And the goal is within 8 short business hours, I can potentially have you completely pre-approved and looking for a new home. I look forward to our journey together. God bless.
So what this does for me is at least it sets a base for me to where if they want to work with me, great. If not, great. But at least they see what I look like. They'll make a determination if they like me or not just off that video. And usually by the time I actually do talk to them, they feel like, okay, well, like we've already met, which makes it almost not, it goes from being a cold lead or referral to being a little bit warmer.
Right. The other element of what you do in that works extremely well, and for those of you in the audience, if you didn't catch it, I'd encourage you to go to Adriel's website, which is, by the way, SoCalDirectLender.com, www.SoCalDirectLender.com. I'll put this up a little bit later, and you guys can see that link again. Watch the video again, and pay attention to one key concept of how he did that video. One is he focused everything on the what's in it for them level, how to make it easy, how to make sure they don't end up in the wrong loan, because that'll cost them a lot more than the right program at a competitive price, and all of the other talking points that are focused at that consumer benefit, what's in it for them level. So that's one of the first key elements of an effective video marketing message, is focus on what they care about, what's important to them. First-time homebuyers don't really give a crap about the rules and regulations of an FHA loan and how to get it qualified. They just want to know if they do or not and what the steps to the process are. So they don't need a Mortgage 101 class. They need some hand-holding and guidance on whether they can fit or not, and us to wake them up to the fact that it might be a lot easier than they've been led to believe by the general media, so that we can get them re-engaged and get them open to the consideration of it, so that they make an informed choice about whether it's right for them or not. Adriel, what I'm going to say is let's go ahead and skip over to the third video just briefly and show a little bit about that third video. And I want the group to see just a quick snapshot of how you simplify things and some of the third talking point messages, and then I'll go back to the concise point here in just a minute. Let me go ahead and play this third video, okay?
Okay.
Congratulations on taking that first step towards home ownership. Now what I want to do is be abundantly clear as to the steps you need to take to go from now to being completely pre-approved. All of these steps are absolutely crucial for me to assist you at a very high level. There are 4 steps. The first of which I need you to do is click on the client profile link. Now that has some general information, but it's important for me to make sure I know your long and your short-term goals. The second step is that you need to complete the loan application in its entirety to the best of your ability. This gives me the vital information that I need to have a foundational set of information and run your credit. The third step is I need what I call the 3 2s. First, I need your 2 most recent pay stubs. Second, I need your 2 most recent years of tax returns and W-2s, and I only need the federal side. I don't need any of the California stuff. The third one is I need your 2 most recent bank statements, and I do need all the pages, even if they're blank. Now, I do promise that I am going to need a lot more stuff from you, but this gives me at least a foundation of knowledge so that when I talk with you, I can have a very good and intelligent conversation with you. The last step is that within 8 business hours, my team or I will call you to make sure that we schedule a mortgage planning consultation with you. Now, that's going to be either at my firm here in Corona, or it's going to be via web conference, maybe even a telephone call. Once we see your application, if there's any glaring holes that we need to make sure that we patch up, we'll do that well ahead of time, and we'll call you to make sure that that's handled before you end up talking to me. My goal is that by the end of our consultation together, I can have you completely pre-approved with the pre-approval in hand and over to your realtor so you can start looking at properties. Worst case scenario.
Okay, guys. So I'm going to pause it there and flip back to the PowerPoint here for just a second. But Adriel, 2 key things there, and you and I have worked on this in our coaching work together. One is simplicity. You got to make people feel safe, right?
Right.
What is the other? I mean, the other key element and the things that this is. What are the feedback you get from customers about this information?
It's very methodical, and that's just kind of what how my brain functions too. Is that I like to think that it's very 1, 2, 3. This is what it is. This is what I need. Yes, there's some details within it, but there's basically 3 things I'm going to need, and we hone it down in those things. Now, what you don't see, at least on this part, is I have these steps written down. If you go to the website, you'll see the steps written down in its entirety. Now, the other thing too that I've gotten is I think I take it as good feedback. At least that's what my customers have said, or people that have seen these videos, is that I'm not an actor. I don't play one on TV. I'm an originator that originates loans that happens to be doing a video. I'm not an actor. So I think that comes across almost, I don't know if I would say it's on purpose. It's just who I am, and it's not going to come across perfect. I want it to come across very as me as I can. And I think people appreciate the fact that it's not perfect, that it's not an actor, that it's not some dramatization. It's nothing like that. It's just me, and this is the guy you're going to be talking to. And I think with giving that off, they'll see as I go, hey, look, I'm a very normal guy. I'm going to help you get to your end game, whatever that is, as quickly as possible. And a lot of people have told me that, hey, the fact that it's very original, very you, that actually makes me feel more comfortable. A lot of people think that, oh, the video has to be perfect in order for a video to get out there, or yeah. And gosh, Joe Stump told me it was something before perfection, in practice before perfection, or something like that. And if you just have it out there, yes, it's not perfect, but it actually kind of works in our favor.
Absolutely. So guys, the 3 key points to effective video messaging and leveraging technology, which is the second key strategy to cutting through the noise and clarity of focus and those kind of things, creating relatability without, it's a high-touch and high-tech response. 3 key elements of it. One is your messaging needs to be definitely focused on what's in the benefit for them, what's the WIIFM level of focus to how you communicate your talking points in the video. Secondly is you want to make them very simple and concise. You don't want to drag things out forever, and you want to keep your talking points clear and simple. Thirdly is you need it to be engaging. You want to give very specific, very direct, do this, then do that, then do this. Make sure that your messaging tells them what to do next, just like you saw in Adriel's video. That engages them. It makes them feel comfortable. And by the way, we all come into this, especially the disenfranchised, the disengaged buyers, the unreachables that we've crafted this whole message about. They're scared. They're coming into this skeptical. They're coming into this bruised and bloodied from the experiences of life. And the reality is that we need to, more than anything, make them feel comfortable and safe, that it's okay to dip their toe in the water again in a lot of cases. And that's something that can be done with these video marketing messaging. All right, so the third strategy, it's what we call the fast approval. And Adriel, I'm going to let you kind of take over and walk us through this one. You tell me when you want me to advance slides, okay?
Okay. We'll go ahead and go to the next slide there.
Okay.
I should have the talking points there, right?
Yeah.
Okay, very good. Well, one of the things like I mentioned before, there's a frustration right now with a lot of our buyers. A lot of them are easily, at least in our market down here, we're easily one of 20 offers on the table. There's a hierarchy of importance in respect to what is considered to be a highest and best offer. And the reality is when you're competing with high nets, cash offers, things of that, man, we're bringing knives to gunfights, And so what we were thinking of is, okay, well, what is it that we can do to help our buyers stand out? And we felt as though, the one thing that we have control of, or our one thing that we can really shine on, at least in our personal situation, and every originator has their own way to roll, is I have the benefit of working in the corporate office of my company here in Corona. So not only that, I mean, in our building we've got processing, we've got underwriting, we've got in my office personally, we got docs and funding, processing, underwriting is two floors away. So we've got incredible control and incredible technology. So when it is prudent, what we try to do is set them in for a fast pass approval. Go ahead and go to the next slide, please. Now, what is that? Basically, it's a TVD approval, guys. And so the reason why we give that so much weight is that's the one gun that we can bring to battle. Is that, hey, look, yes, our price is probably going to be right there, and yes, I get it that this is an FHA offer. Yes, I get it it's a 5% down conventional. Yes, I get it that it's not going to be all cash or 20% down. Yes, if it's not delegated, there's a lot of thorns to it. But hey, I already got these guys approved. I can close this, and you can make an offer and make it a 17-day offer. So you know what? My net's the same as your cash guy right here, but you know what? In 17 days, which is probably only 3 to 5 days more than maybe a cash investor, you can have a family in this home. And my successful realtors right now that are putting good cover letters together with their offer, then you combine that with a 17-day close because it's already been through the underwriting ringer, you know, and having it go through that and getting we had one today for a VA buyer. The fact that we can do that now gives them a chance. And now, and we've had great success with that and a couple of deals. I mean, we try not to do it all the time, but it's huge for us. Now, some of these talking points here, it lights a fire for the borrower, and you get a higher commitment from the buyer. This is huge because especially in this market where we're at, buyers are of the mindset of, hey, I just got to get a house. I don't care what lender it is. I don't care even sometimes who the realtor is, unfortunately. And so, and also has to do a lot with the generation that we're dealing with right now that is in their main buying years. When you have them sending in all the stuff that they need to have it be more than just a pre-approval, and you're getting it fully underwritten, now you have a higher commitment from the buyer because they're more pot committed. The third point, combating in-house lender incentive competition. I mean, it happens all the time. Again, I like to think that I'm integrous when there's a cross-qual, but I mean, we all are part of the other side of it, where other lenders are overly incentivized, or some people I've heard it very blatantly say, hey, if you don't go with me, you're not getting the house. Now, in my situation, they still got the house, we're in escrow, and we're going, but that happens, unfortunately, far too often. Well, in this case, when you have something that can go with a little bit shorter escrow period, well, that cross-qualifying lender still has to go 30 days out. I can still get it done in 17 days. So really, I mean, what's the real reason why you wanted to go with that lender? I already have the upper hand. It's also a reason for me to call the listing agent. Now, when I'm promoting my buyer, when I'm one of 20 offers, and I'm the one lender of maybe, I'm not going to be the only one, but maybe 2 or 3 lenders that actually called the listing agent and said, hey, I have 100% confidence it's going to go. This has already been underwritten. This has already been blessed, short of arguably the property, the appraisal, and you know, title escrow. Agents love it, especially listing agents that have even more confidence to when they're presenting to their sellers. They'll talk with more confidence in saying, hey, this one, the lender even called me saying that they were good to go and already underwritten and they can close in 17 days. It gives our buyers a chance, and that's why I believe so much in doing this. We're going to go to the next slide, please. For agents, again, it gets your offer noticed when you're the one offer that maybe you're the same price as everybody else. Yeah, maybe you're FHA or maybe you're conventional 5% down, but the fact that now you're the one on the top to have, you know, you're competing with cash offers that have 14-day closes and no appraisal contingency. At least you're in the game. You're in a 17-day close period. Higher confidence in the buyer, reason call listing agent, agents love it. And we talked about that. Yeah. So,
well, I'll tell you what, guys. I'm going to jump in here, Adriel, one quick thing. For those of you who don't know, at my coaching company, I have a couple of agents, a couple of top-notch agents as part of our coaching team. Brad Korn and Linda Schneider are both agents, active agents who have coached real estate agents for years as well as coaching loan officers for years. And the reality is I did a call, and I was absolutely shocked when we talked. I had both Brad and Linda on one of our regular weekly webinars a couple of weeks ago, and we were talking about this whole issue about how to help help buyers compete in a tight market with limited inventory and those kind of things. And Linda came up and said, by the way, Linda's an agent in San Diego. Those of you, if you're looking for a great agent in San Diego to team up with, Linda might be a good target for you. Anyway, one of the things she said is she reaches out to her favorite lender and makes her favorite lender call the listing agent when presenting offers. And they love it. They really do want you as a lender to call that listing agent or even that seller and help make sure that they know that this is a solid deal, that this buyer is strong. And in some cases, it can go a long way to humanizing the borrower and the family and some of those kind of things that again, it put a face to it much more so than just the static here's an offer with an attached pre-approval letter that, and with Adriel's fully pre-approved letter, much stronger than the almost toilet paper stuff that a lot of lenders issue. So, okay, so we've talked a lot about 3 different main issues. We've talked a lot about how to go about cutting through the noise and creating a message that reaches the unreachable so that you guys can close more loans and make a bigger difference in a lot of families. I'm going to go ahead and open it up at this point. Let's go ahead and take some questions. If you guys want to go ahead and post a few things in the chat and Q&A function for me, I'll be watching for some questions to come through here shortly. So go ahead, guys, and go ahead and get those things posted. By the way, Adriel, were there some other things that you maybe wanted to share? Was there anything else that you wanted to kind of to give our audience here as we're waiting for some people to post some things into the Q&A?
No, I just think that time is so darn precious. And so as a result, that's why I put so much emphasis on the technology portion. I put an emphasis in the fast pass, because at the end of the day, it's time. It's that many more or that many less properties that our agents have to go and, or that many less houses that they have to put their clients in their car for. Because now maybe instead of going through 30 homes that they made offers on, maybe they only went through 15. We're saving them time. We're saving us time. To coin a Linda Davidson term, we don't want to close late and we don't want to close ugly. We're putting ourselves in a position where time is beautiful. And if we save more of it, we're more efficient with it. It makes this business really fun to do.
Okay. Well, there is one quick question that I wanted to make sure we had time to address. Adriel, is one of the attendees posted a question about the Fast Pass program and what kind of operational gridlock that can create. Are you finding that? How do you address that?
It can, which is why we don't put everybody through it. Number one, we try to make it I try to do it for our really selective agents, the ones that I know are great agents that are going to be giving me good stuff. Ideally, the easier ones, because that will flow through a little bit quicker. If it's selling a little bit more borderline, I'm just super selective because I don't want to bog down my ops. I mean, we're busy. We're going to do more business this month than we have in quite a long time, just my little branch. And so we're busy. So I got to be very selective as to what goes through that process. Now that said, it comes to the point where, and this is something that I'm in talks with my management about getting to the point where maybe we overhire a little bit because we want to make that such a cornerstone. And that's something we're in discussions on right now because I believe in it so much, and I think that this market's going to be around, or a version of this market's going to be around for the next couple of years. So that said, so as of right now, being immensely selective as to what we put through. Because of course, yes, there's a higher. My mentality is that we're going to have a higher chance of people that are going to be retained, pre-approvals that are going to be retained and stay with us. There's also going to be those that, see the glass half empty and say, well, what if we just end up not doing the loan for that guy, And so there's two sides of that coin. It's just a matter of how, being selective and being prudent with, managing that pipeline.
Yeah, definitely. All right. Well, guys, by the way, one other thing, as I have origination experience. At the peak of my career, closed 237 loans in 12 months. That was obviously a different time, different age, years ago. But along the way, this was a fundamental part of how I did my origination practice. One of the things you realize by doing the Fast Pass program is that buyers are much more committed to the process. They're also less fearful. I mean, how many first-time homebuyers have you guys done loans for that it's like they're calling you every third day wondering what's going on, and they're freaking out about everything? And I always remember I used to have a conversation with clients frequently about, guys, sometimes no news is good news. That means things are moving through the process okay, so relax, you're all right. But when we would get people, because I used to use the process very similar to this Fast Pass program, and when we had that approval in their hands, it's amazing how much faster they got into contract, even when we weren't in tight real estate markets and there wasn't that external pressure of getting a home. All right, one more quick question that I think we've got time for. Adriel, I'm going to let you take first shot at it. Eddie posted the question, having a hard time getting realtors to work with me. How can I get more realtors to engage?
has to do with whatever your secret sauce is. At the end of the day, you have to play that up. So depending on how new you are, when you've been around for a little bit, you can use that card. When you have control of your operations, I mean, I have great friends on the broker side and great friends on direct lender side. On a direct lender side, we're going to promote the heck out of the fact that, if you're not working with a direct lender, then what are you doing? On the broker side, they're gonna take the approach of whatever their wheelhouse is, which is probably additional variety, better overall cost, things like that, where they can't really promote the control part as much. You have to figure out what your wheelhouse is and play that music till you're done. Whatever that one thing is, that's what you have to hit. And if you got nothing, you got to play up your company. And if not, then maybe you got to go to another company. But yeah, you have to have that one thing, that one song you can play, they can kill it on.
Okay. I'll take that one step further, guys, which is be open to the idea of asking them what they need help with and be willing to help find the resource. I mean, we talk about this. I talk about, well, Adriel, you and I talk about this all the time in our coaching sessions together. At the end of the day, you've got to figure out a way to go beyond the vendor relationship and become the business development partner. And by asking them what they need help in their business and how you can be an asset or resource, sharing with them ideas from like what you've just got from this program. Heck, take this video and forward it to them and say, hey, look, guys, let's see if we can apply some of these strategies. Let's get together and watch the video, and then let's get together and brainstorm how we can get some of these things in play to reach more buyers before it's too late. Maybe we can start doing some of these home opportunity evaluations together. Maybe we can start working on, I'm going to work on this fast pass approval thing and try and get that up and running for you so that I can be a better asset to you as an agent, so that we as a team can do more business together than either of us could do separately or independently. Right. Which, by the way, is a trigger point that we'll be talking about in, I believe it'll be the July session of this series that you guys are going to watch out for. Well, as we start to transition I'm going to take just a couple of quick seconds to update everybody on some things that are coming down the pike. By the way, thank you again, Adriel, for joining me today and sharing your wisdom. And by the way, I've really enjoyed working with you, and thank you for being such a great client and allowing me the opportunity to serve you in that way over the years. I've really enjoyed that, and hopefully that continues. But guys, if you'd like more information about some of the stuff Adriel is doing, if you'd like to reach out to him more directly, if you're interested in branch opportunities or service with PRMG as a wholesale lender, you're welcome to go to their joinprmg.com website. You can talk about either wholesale or retail opportunities in that instance. You can also reach out to Adriel more directly, check out his website, get some ideas from what you're seeing him doing so you can emulate them in your own practice by going to his personal website, SoCalDirectLender.com. Again, by the way, we will be forwarding the recording of this program and the PowerPoint for this program to all registered attendees, usually within about 48 hours. It does take about 8 to 10 man-hours behind-the-scenes work to get these things packaged, rendered, posted, and forwarded so that we can get them to you. Other thing I want to do is, by the way, all this is leading up to the Summer Camp Convention. It's going to be a great 2 days of learning and sharing and growing as a company, as a community, as an organization. At the August 14th through the 16th, I want you guys to put that date on your calendar. Registration pages should be up shortly, so be checking back frequently to the California Association of Mortgage Professionals website, www.ca-amp.org. Is where you can get the details and information. But make sure you save the date. You're watching the website for registration information to come out shortly. Make sure you plan on attending. It's going to be the must-see event of the year for the California originator as to getting you the tools, resources. We've already had a sneak peek at the agenda in addition to my part of that. And I'm thrilled to see that you guys are going to be getting awesome programming and education at that event. Secondly, if you are not a member of the organization, seriously consider investing in your future, because if you don't invest in your future, the reality is, will you have one? Every day, California Association of Mortgage Professionals, their staff, their members, and their volunteers, they're fighting for your benefit and your freedom and opportunity to operate as an independent mortgage professional and protecting the lending environment for yourself, your borrowers, and your opportunity to be the entrepreneurial independent originator. And as a result, they need your support, they need your help, they need your resources. So get involved, invest your time, invest your resources. Membership is simple and will pay for itself through the member benefits in a matter of days from joining. Quit waiting, get involved, get on board, and become a member actively involved in the best mortgage association in the country, in my opinion, short of the National Association of Mortgage Brokers. You guys, I'm very impressed. In fact, in my state of Missouri, we're emulating a lot of what your organization in California is doing, and I'm learning as the president of our association. Secondly, if you'd like more information, the NAM conference in June 9th through the 11th in Atlantic City, the Ultimate Mortgage Expo, sponsored by NAM, the Association of Mortgage Professionals. We are going to play a very significant role in that program. I've worked very hard behind the scenes to bring some great speakers to the table for you guys, and I'm very much looking forward to seeing a whole bunch of you out in Atlantic City for the 9th or the 11th. You can go and register at www.ultimatemortgageexpo.com, ultimatemortgageexpo.com. If you want to register for free and clear out the attendance cost of the program, you can punch in access code MADISC.com, register for the event for free. Of course, that offer expires next Friday, the 24th, so make sure you make your decision about whether you want to come out for the event in Atlantic City in June. Make that decision and get on board with that program. Otherwise, one last thing that I want to encourage you to think about and do. You've invested some time here today to learn some great ideas and strategies about how to cut through the noise and the chaos and reach the unreachable. Now, if you throw this time away, if you don't take the ideas that you've heard and do something with them, will it have any impact on your business? So as a coach and as a trainer and leader, I challenge you all to do something that will put in play the ideas that you've heard today. So the first step is decide what was the one most valuable thing you heard about today's program that you want implemented in your business. Secondly, what action do you need to take? What is the very most important thing next you need to do to make that idea or move towards that idea becoming a part of what you do on a daily basis? Third is decide by when you're going to have that action implemented. And fourth is decide who are you going to ask to hold you accountable. You know, it's so easy to break the promises we make to ourselves. It's much harder to break the promises we make to somebody else. It's kind of like the running buddy effect. I think you guys have heard me talk about this a little bit. Imagine you wanted to lose some weight. You decided you're going to start jogging January 1st as a New Year's resolution. You do it 3 or 4 days in a row, and January 5th or 6th, it's cold, it's wet, it's nasty, it's ugly outside, and you're tired and sore, so you hit the snooze button, roll back over, and go to sleep. Now, say, for example, you were at a New Year's Eve party and you told your neighbor that you were going to do this exercise campaign, and he says, you know what, let's go do that together. That sounds like a great idea. Well, it's January 6th, it's cold, it's wet, it's nasty, it's ugly outside. You don't want to get out of bed. You're sore, you're tired, but you know your buddy's going to be on your doorstep at 5:30 to hold you accountable to following through. The power of accountability, asking somebody, telling somebody what you're going to do to implement this one best idea, and asking them to follow up with you in a specific time frame and hold you accountable is one of the most powerful things that you could do in your business to change the game permanently. Now, if you don't have that kind of a person in your life, if you don't have somebody you have a tremendous amount of trust and respect for, and you'd like to find out more about what a coach can do for you in that element, I invite you to take advantage of one of our free strategy sessions, which is a one-on-one coaching experience. You will get a true coaching session, and at the end, if it looks like something you want to pursue deeper, we'll talk about how to make that happen for you. Of course, there's no cost or obligation for the strategy sessions. If you want to take advantage of it, you're welcome to either post that request right in the Q&A right here, right now, or you can go to our website, nxlcoach.com/strategy, and get that information. Last thing I want to share with all of you, just as we wrap up today's event, mark your calendars, go ahead and plug out time or block out the time for the next event in this series. The Power Performance Webinar Series is going to be on Wednesday, June 19th. Roughly a month away. It'll be the third Wednesday of the month, June 19th at 1 o'clock Pacific. I'll be joined by current San Diego chapter president Karen Bakes, who I believe is president-elect for either 2014 or 2015. I heard recently that she's going to be the CAMP president in some future year. And Karen and I are going to be sharing with you concepts of the power of purpose, how to develop deeper client relationships through niche marketing, how to focus your energy and effort on something you can do extremely well and win as a result. If you're interested in registering for that program, you're welcome to jump on this URL. I know it's kind of weird, but we'll be sending out follow-up information along with it. That'll be an easier link that you can grab access to. For now, though, just go ahead and mark out the time in your calendar, June 19th at 1 o'clock Pacific, and we will be meeting with you at that time. For those of you who didn't have a chance to get your questions answered, or we ran out of time, we will be responding to the questions in the Q&A here in the next couple of weeks or next couple of days, making sure we get all those questions answered for you. Secondly, if there's anything else my team or I can do for you in helping you get your business to another level faster, don't be afraid to ask. And like I said, if you want to take advantage of one of those strategy sessions that I mentioned, you're welcome to go ahead and just post the best number and phone number and email address for us to be able to reach you for scheduling into the Q&A right now. And by the way, those are filled on kind of a first-come, first-served basis because we only have a handful of hours a week where our coaches can take those sessions. Other than that, thank you guys. I want to applaud all of you for being the 1%ers who are investing your time in perfecting your craft and refining what you do. Adriel, if you're still on the line, if there's other final thoughts you'd like to share with our group today.
No, I know how hard it is, especially in mid-May with full pipelines to step away and listen to, something where you can educate yourself. So, I'm the same way. I applaud you guys. I'm in the same boat as everybody else. We're all busy, so the fact that you can put time into yourself like this, it's to be applauded, and I think you'll see benefits of it coming up very soon.
Awesome. Well, like I said, put ideas into action, guys. It's your choice. It's your option. It's your opportunity. So with that being said, I'm going to go ahead and close this out.